Well, they're called modern-day slaves, the estimated 40 million worldwide victims of human trafficking. In this often hidden crime, force, fraud, or coercion is used to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. 1 in 4 trafficking victims, a child, and most of them, girls. In recognition of Human Trafficking Awareness Day, to bring attention to it, the scourge, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is urging people to wear blue, even light up a landmark, to join the fight. And joining us now with more on all this is Dani Pinter, Senior Legal Counsel at the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Dani, thanks very much for joining us. Get right to it. I'm a parent. I've got teens at home, young teens, and this concerns me a great deal, like every parent should. Sum it up for me. What are these traffickers, these human traffickers? How do they get the victims, and how do they bring them into these horrendous acts?
Yes, well, what traffickers do is identify a vulnerability and then capitalize that. And of course, all children are vulnerable, especially those who maybe are in the foster care system or have a history of trauma that makes them particularly vulnerable. But truly, every child is vulnerable. And now that sex trafficking is really moving online with the growth of the internet, truly every child can be targeted by traffickers. So often what these traffickers do is groom the child, so they befriend them. Sometimes they'll pretend to be peers, build them up, flatter them, make them feel special to gain their trust. And something that's really on the rise is sextortion, where a trafficker will convince the child to maybe exchange nude images with them, and then they use those images to blackmail, extort the child into sending more, and then the trafficker can sell and distribute those images and traffic the child online.
I read about that, what you just brought up a lot, about you get a kid to do something on video, they send it back, and then boom, the trafficker says, you better pay me hundreds or thousands or I'm going to send this all over the place, right?
Yeah, or they even just ask for more content. That's what's really sad, is they get the child to send more images and video of maybe more extreme content in there.
And this can happen, if you think it can happen to your kid, think again, right?
That's right. In fact, we have a case right now against Twitter where 2 13-year-old boys were lured into a trap like this, and both of them came from really nice homes and involved caring parents. And luckily, those parents took action when they found out, but the worst had already happened, and that's because really this can't happen to anyone.
Now, they say human trafficking is right there in plain sight. It's hiding in plain sight. What do they mean by that?
Well, the truth is that often traffickers use emotional manipulation and coercion. And so, it's not always that they're physically restraining their victims. Kids can be at home with their parents when this sort of sextortion scheme is going on. Sometimes the trafficker can even be trafficking the child in person, sexually assaulting them, but letting the child return home. And this is the same is true with adults, is that they can be seemingly coming and going and interacting with you or me. Meanwhile, this exploitation is happening behind closed doors.
And I know parents hear it time and again, you've got to watch what your kids are doing on the phone, on their desktop computers, wherever. And the stuff is right in your home now. It's right in your hand, correct?
That's right. And, the most horrific, violent, pornographic content is, 2 clicks away on these smart devices. And that presents such a danger to children, and really creates an additional vulnerability if they begin, looking at that content.
And Dani, real quick, for any kids who might be watching tonight in 15 or 20 seconds or so, for any kids watching tonight, and they're a victim of this, but they're embarrassed to tell anyone, what would you tell that child right now?
I would say go to the cyber tip line for NCMEC, so the National Center on Missing and Exploited Children. They can help you get this content down. In fact, they are launching a new system specifically for teens, where teens can anonymously report if their content is out there, and NCMEC will help them, without getting, maybe their parents or police involved if they're worried about that. So there's absolutely help. If it's easier, go to our website and we'll direct you the right way. But this can be solved right away. This is something that we take very seriously, and the National Center on Missing and Exploited Children does as well, and is here to help.
We've got to watch our children. Dani Pinter, thank you very much for that information. Appreciate it very much. We'll talk to you later.